Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At-Home Dad Network. My name is Brock,
My name is Danny.
and we are here to talk about life as stay-at-home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. No worry about my weight, got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet, cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to part 2 of the HomeDadcon recap. I think we're losing it, even though we've all three have our individual beer share bottle openers from the one and only Eric Schorber. So they're very cool. So yeah, love those. If you missed part 1, go back and just stop and go back and listen to that first, because we're just going to pick up pretty much where we left off and talking about HomeDadCon, and we'll just see where the evening goes. So yeah, before that though, I got to use this thing. I got to use this. So I have.
Make sure it doesn't break when you use it.
Explain what the thing is.
I'm working on it.
We're an audio.
Yeah. So I have a really awesome, I think it's like a walnut or chestnut. I'm not sure. It's kind of a darker brown, but not like super dark beer share bottle opener that has a really cool cactus on it from Phoenix. Yeah. Eric did a good job on those. But no, our good friend from the Netherlands, Marcel Dam, was very gracious, and he brought some for Joe too. He brought a bottle. He gave me a bottle, and I was just so amazed. It's from Wild Weasel, which I love. It's a Cuvée Clarissa. Is that how you say it? I think it's a whiskey infused beer, and supposedly a strong ruby red beer. So I'm looking forward to cracking this thing open. And I collect bottle caps, and I've kept the 2 that he gave me from Orlando. Or not Orlando. Was it Orlando? I think it was Orlando. But this will go in my collection alongside of those. So what did he bring you, Joe?
So this is a Delirium.
That's a cool bottle.
Tremendous.
It's like white.
Yeah, well, Delirium's really well known with beer geeks, and I can't crack it open because I gotta drink it with Jake. Darn. But no, it's kind of funny. So I'd asked him for something else out of Germany from a place that I've got friends at and I really like. And I didn't know this. He shows up to the con and he's like, "Hey, I brought you something. It's not what you asked for." I'm like, "Okay, like this is special from you, like whatever you brought." And he goes, "Yeah, I tried to. They don't sell it outside of the brewery." I'm like, like if I would have known that, my friend there would have shipped it to him. And he could have flown with it. But I
next
had no
year,
clue.
Right? Next year,
knew?
you know, for next year.
Well, even when I asked, it was kind of tongue in cheek. You know, like I didn't actually expect him. He's brought stuff before, but I didn't actually expect him to hunt something down for me. Just, hey, if you find this, blah 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 blah. He's like, well, not that, but this.
So what it is it? Blah, blah, I can't even talk. What did he give you?
It's a strong blonde. It's a 8.5 alk by vol. So it'll have a bunch.
This is 10 This is 10.2. Woohoo! Yeah, buddy. My wife just goes, "Oh no."
So just in case,
make sure you drink that on the lawn outside the tent.
Oh shoot! Shut up.
So just in case there's anyone listening that doesn't know who you are, Joe, and why you would not drink that now, but with someone else, well, I say you should just plug it real quick.
Yes, sure. Please tell us who you are.
So I am one half of the Stay at Home Dad Beer Cast. My co-host, Jake Murray, lives across the street from me in actually a different cul-de-sac. But yeah, so we do as much as we can a weekly podcast talking about stay-at-home dad life, because he's been one for 8 years now, and I've been for coming up on 6. And beer, and we do interviews, and we get snobbier and snobbier as we go, week by week. So,
but it's quality, man. It's super quality. I love it, and you guys have a fun time with it, and you get to talk to some really cool people and talk about really cool beer. So,
agreed.
Well, honestly, it got us through COVID. It started during COVID, and it was our connection outlet to the world. So yeah, so
I'd say that
it's been
this
a
show
fun
got
time.
us through COVID in a way.
Yeah.
Because it kind of
Yeah,
started about the same time.
It's definitely was one of the things that I clung to. Let me
Yeah.
just say.
Yeah.
Wow,
I'd say a lot
everything
of
else is on fire. Oh, look, let's talk about something.
yeah, no kidding, right?
Right.
I just gotta
Not the
talk.
fire.
All right. Well, let's get into the convention a little bit here. So we kind of stopped with talking. I think we were around like Catherine Perlman, so Friday, like late afternoon type of stuff or whatever. But and we talked a little bit about this, but Chris Gaffney, who was the closing keynote for Friday, that guy was hysterical. And I felt like he really just like brought it for a great sort of like into to that day. What was your take on Chris, Dan? Danny? Wow,
Wow.
Danny.
Okay, bruh.
Mr. Dan.
I'm so tired, man. Okay.
No, it's everybody here in the Midwest calls me Dan, and it's really funny because they're like, "Hey, Dan." I'm like,
"Hey, Dan."
It's truly it's Danny. It's
"Hey, Danny
just
boy."
Call me Danny. Yeah, bring it. I don't care. You can call me boy.
If we
But,
get your views on this, Daniel, we would really appreciate
Danny,
that.
what did you think about Chris Gaffney?
I thought it. No, I will say it first because he is a great writer, right? And he has won awards. He's got so many. If you look through his bio, he's got so many things that he's been sometimes second place. Which was very funny because he did make a joke of that in part of his presentation.
Yeah.
But you can tell that what he had was something he'd written. That he was kind of just reading from what he'd already written out, which for me took a moment to get into the rhythm of, because he was almost like he was reading a letter to us as at home dads. But it really, that was just a moment or two, and then I kind of just got into the flow of it, and it was hilarious. He put up a lot of photos, like we said, some if not all of them were kind of self-deprecating humor.
Hilarious.
It just you just get you going. And the other thing too is his understanding, because he is an at-home dad. He's been an at-home dad, I think, for 3 years.
Yeah.
So plenty of time in the trenches to kind of know what you're dealing with. And I really appreciated that specifically, because a lot of times the speakers we have, even if they're parents, like we talked about Catherine Perlman, amazing, but you still don't really get it. You're not like in the trenches, so to speak. You're definitely a parent, and you've put your time in, but you just don't understand just the grueling nature of it.
Right.
So I really appreciate that his humor definitely reflected that. And I enjoyed talking to him personally too. I got a couple of opportunities to talk to him otherwise. So it was good for me. Enjoyed it.
Yeah. I thought that the title of the whole thing, like what do you do all day, was so great. When he finally got to that point and like said that, it was like everybody in the room is like, yep. That's the thing you get asked every freaking time. But what do you do all day?
Right.
What do you do all day, Joe? Drink beer and do podcasting.
Yeah, right. No, I really, really enjoyed him. I had the same kind of off the starting gate feel, where I was like, I got kind of pissed for a second because it took me back to Dad 2, I think it was New Orleans. Their closer was a podcast, and they just did their podcast in front of us.
No, that wasn't New Orleans. That was San Antonio, and
that wasn't San Antonio. Okay,
yeah,
because
it was Dax. Well, it was Dax Shepard. It was
Shepard.
the armchair expert. So is what it was.
Yep. And I mean, great podcast. Like, kills mine. Excuse me, but like, it was that kind of like, oh, this is prepared crap in front of us that isn't specific to us. Oh, great. It was that feel.
It was weird that for that show. But just, it was definitely weird.
Well, but like, so with Gaffney, that I had that inkling for like a minute, and then he got rolling. It's like, oh nope, he's in it. Like,
but I think that
hit his stride real quick.
I think he had something that he felt comfortable being able to share, and at the same time, like, feel the room out. And you could tell, like, once he got comfortable, it was like the jacket came off, and like we all got to see like the real Chris Gaffney at that point.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying, is that first little bit. But then but I was already invested in it because he came to the beer share the night before.
Yeah, I got to talk
Like
to him
he
a little bit.
showed the beer share the night before, and that reminded me of a certain intense nature man out of Florida back in
Oh,
Portland
Aaron
because he
Phillips.
showed up to everything beforehand.
Yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
he was the closer, and by the time he came up, he had like 30 friends in the audience. Like that's how you do it as a speaker
Yeah.
is you get connected with a bunch of people. So then the audience is already intense on you
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
and you can run with it. But no, so yeah, once he got rolling, it was really good. What I found hilarious was, and a couple other people said this afterwards, is he went into a part about how his how like not hero or what like his big guy was Rooney, right?
Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Andy
Andy
Rooney.
Rooney.
Andy
Yeah.
Rooney, right? Well, the thing is, there's a few of us who are like, well, no shit, you sound like him, you move like him,
Yeah.
like I thought I was watching Andy Rooney when you got like 10 minutes in. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's pretty clear.
Yeah.
I
But the
was.
whole thing was, I mean, it was
It was a great close
freaking
to the Friday.
hilarious.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, he came to the beer share that night too. And
Mhm.
that's when I got to sit down and talk with him a little bit. And it was very interesting because like, when our speakers come in, we take care of their registration ticket, to come to the convention and all that kind of stuff. But he took it upon himself to actually like become a paying member, which I thought was
Right.
pretty awesome. And I feel like he's a guy we'll be seeing around as time goes on. But just getting to sit with him and chat, like he's so interesting in the fashion of like I feel like he's like the rest of us. Like someone brings in like says like a compliment to you, and you go like, oh, okay, thanks. Like I'm like, dude, you're like a headlining speaker here for the convention, and I'm like, hey, that was a great talk. And he's like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, like that's why we brought you, bro. Like, come on.
Cool. Very cool.
So, but it was just great because it's like, okay, like this guy is totally down to earth, and I enjoyed getting to hang out with him for a little bit at the beer share on that night. Oh, you know what else was really neat and awesome was the fact that Derek Tetlow did a quick little meditation
Oh
session
yeah, yeah.
at the very end for anybody that wanted to go. That I didn't go to it personally because, like always, I'm running around everywhere. But it seemed like
Same. I
there.
didn't have 15 minutes to calm. I should have, but I didn't have it.
Yes, which is exactly why both of you should have gone and should go in Milwaukee if
One of
Derek's
us had a
there.
brother looking out. I wonder where he was. The other one didn't have anybody looking out. So one of
Man,
us has an excuse. The other one,
I could only keep
that's
so
what.
many sheep in the pen, right? It just
Yep.
it's
It's
too
all
much
good.
going.
It's on me.
Derek though is awesome. I actually was talking to him today about something we're hopefully going to do in Milwaukee and what have you. And I have to say, for me, one of the things about doing anything, any work with mental health, and again, not a medical professional, just support groups and stuff like that, but just the enormity of the emotion, right? And it'll just really overwhelm you. And having the ability to go find a place to sit and just ground that out, just mindful of where you are and not concerned about what was, and just get rid of all that stuff and just kind of flush it out again. Meditation will do that for me very well.
Mhm.
And it was amazing. It was exactly what I needed. He wasn't in any way kind of like trying to move you into one way or another. It wasn't necessarily a guided thing. There wasn't, it was just very calm, a little bit of music in the background just to kind of cover the kind of almost like white noise, and sit how you're comfortable. If you want to have your eyes open, half lidded, closed, it was all kind of just what you needed. And it was perfect. And
That's
honestly,
awesome.
if he's there next year, I'm going to get him to do it at least twice. Just
I
after
mean-
each mental health breakout, I'm going to need you to come help
Yeah.
me,
Well, he came to the committee with it and was just like, hey, like I'd love to volunteer my time to be able to do this. And it was just like, this is awesome. Like this is what I love about this organization is someone who's passionate about something and just says, hey, like I'm willing to give of my time while I'm at the
Mhm.
convention to do this, to give, to help others out. And so I was just super appreciative when he brought that forward, and I was like, dude, like get him on the schedule. Like how do, because it was
Mhm.
even like at the point we were like, all right, how do we carve out time to even get him into the schedule? And I was like, well, here's this time. And it worked out really well to be able
Yeah.
to put him in as like a transitional before, the end of the night and getting into everything else. So yeah, that's awesome.
It's probably a good thing that I didn't go, actually. Like, I used to teach mindfulness and meditation. And so it's a me thing. It's not a him thing or an anybody else thing. It's a me thing. I own it. Any other way of teaching it or doing it can drive me a little batty.
Yeah.
And that's not what you're looking for when you're trying to be mindful.
Right. Yeah. It does do it in meditation class.
This person's doing this.
Well, it's
That's
like
not
anytime
you.
if you watch a TV show and you've done whatever they're showing, like as a living, or have done it regularly enough to where it, like I see stuff
doesn't have that gauge in it.
Right. It's like, what are you doing? That does not even exist. And you do that in the meditation session, it would probably fall flat. It probably wouldn't be the best, but
I mean, it was a great attempt, but what the? Yeah, no.
Yeah. Wait, why didn't you tell them to close their eyes? Come on. I said they could half lid or close. No, it's got to be closed. I mean, it could be something that small, and it would. No, I can understand it would just set you off.
Yeah. He did not give enough time for breathing. What the heck? He did not give enough time for breathing. Like, everyone in the room clearly needed more time.
More breathing.
Not know that. Yeah.
Grady came up to me later, and he must have noticed that I had like not gone to that and was like stressed out beyond belief, because he's all like, "Hey, you look like you could use a gummy."
Oh yeah, you look like you could use a gummy right
felt
now.
The effects of that for the next 6 hours.
Yeah, but yeah, and I had really never like had one of those before, and he was
shocked. Joe, I'm shocked. Are you shocked? Just mind blown.
Sorry.
Wow. Really?
What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say about
really, Ohio?
Really? Yeah, there it is. That's why it's Ohio. That's why.
I'm out here in Washington.
I don't even want to hear it, man.
Ohio. Okay.
Yeah. But that was interesting in itself too, because he was like, "Yeah, I'm going to get this to you." It did not kick in the time that I would have liked to have it to, but it did actually after the group photos. It kicked in, and it made.
Yeah, you should have had it kick in before that. You're like,
he needed to
get off the stairs. What are you doing? These guys are like, "Oh my god, man! First convention. I'm so sorry."
Yeah, I know. I kind of.
I won't say who.
That's
somebody comes up to me, he's like, "What the?" A vet, an old timer for the con. It's like, "What the heck is up with Brock?" I'm like, "Dude, it's Friday night. This is what he does Friday night. If you haven't learned this in like 5 years of conventions, you're not paying attention."
Just trying to get everybody together. I was just trying to move on.
Yeah. That's the tone you use.
And the edibles really don't kick in when you accept them. You have to actually say, "This edible is crap. This is not working, and I don't feel anything." And then when you say that,
that's what activates it.
I did say that actually later on. I said that to Grady, and then all of a sudden I started like feeling things, and I was like, and I started messaging him. I'm like, "Should I be feeling like this right now?" He started sending me like laughing emojis back.
He left you hanging? He didn't like hang out with you, or
no?
I mean, I don't want to say hold your hand, but like
it was a straight up,
man,
it was a straight
Grady.
up, it was a straight up handoff deal. See you later type of thing. And
leave a brother behind, Grady.
At one point, I ended up in my own bed. I ended up in my hotel room, laying down, going, "I feel really weird." And that's when I started texting Grady. I'm like, "What's going on?"
Yeah.
So, but anyway,
that's good.
Yeah,
I wish I could have seen that. It would have been hilarious.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Asked you some really soul-searching questions.
I don't know if I would have been there.
That's me.
Who knows? I don't know if that would have got there.
Have you seen your hand? And just leave you with that and walk away, and 10 minutes later you're still staring at your hand.
Nah, I was more having like a trippy moment where I was like, "Why is the room spinning?" and like that kind of thing. So I was like, "Why do I feel like I'm floating through the hallway like Slimer in Ghostbusters?"
Because you are.
Because you are. That's right. You're not. You're still. The hotel is moving.
I was looking for Vakeman the whole
My
time.
wife does that crap to me. My wife does that crap to me all the time. And I swear the kids somehow, the kids just know. I don't know. They come up and they start asking me stuff. And I'm like, when you go to school, do you just like wander off and sit in a field and just come up with stuff to screw with me at this point? I mean, it's just crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Is the grass getting taller, or are we all getting shorter?
Shorter. Nice. But seriously, Brock, for next time, if you decide to do that again, it's Delta 8 is
might be illegal in the state.
The Delta 8's legal, which is THC. It's not as potent. It's the hemp based or whatever, but it's still, that's what I take for my anxiety. And if you decide that that's what you want to do, I will happily stay with you.
Well, the nice part
Right.
next year, I'm not planning. So we're just going to put that out there officially.
He's gonna
Like
be
I am.
messed
Yeah.
up the entire.
Yeah.
time.
You're not gonna.
I-
He's gonna be just a beer or a bourbon in one hand, and just like
I am. So
I'm
I will
smokeable
be.
in the other.
Well, so here's the thing with next year for Milwaukee. So one, I'm not planning the head planner. That's Keith and Greg that are taking care of that. I'm also it'll be like I'll be done with the board again for another year unless some Yahoo decides to like talk me into running again.
Sure you will.
Or
Yeah.
somebody pisses on the side of a building. You wait for it.
Shush.
You wait
Not
for it.
Anyway,
It's coming.
not going there. But anyway, so I'm hoping to enjoy Milwaukee a little bit.
I
more
hope
than
you do too.
that. So
Sincerely.
we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out.
Get up early one morning, take a road trip up to my house, see my kids. I'll get you back by 9.
Yeah.
Swear.
Well, honestly, like
Not interested.
I feel like I got into a bit of a groove right now, just in the fashion of like Josh Burnson and I kind of like have partnered up to run social media stuff, and he was awesome during the convention to be able to take care of things while I was busy doing everything else. So
yes.
yeah. So I just want to give Josh a shout out because honestly, like he was great. Sure. And that was just a huge help. And I think that to me, like if everything does happen and I do step away, like I feel very secure in the fashion of running alongside of him doing social media together like that. So
yeah.
So we'll see.
And he's the guy you need. I know I've tried to kind of fill in here and there, but I am not the guy you need to do social media. I've proven that over. But I'm willing. I'm like, yeah, I'll stand here and screw stuff up. But but Josh was the man, and I really appreciate the work that he's doing.
He was telling me that actually his what was it? His like church choir and something else like asked him to like do the exact same thing at the exact same week. So like he kind of took it all on. But it was the perfect timing because it was like, yeah, sure, I can take care of all that. So yeah,
all at once.
So that was good. All right,
Saturday.
So Saturday morning, Saturday morning. Oh gosh, okay. Let's start with this for Saturday morning. So breakfast.
We have to stretch first.
No, breakfast was not a good time for folks on Saturday. Sadly, Poor Ariel, he was not feeling well after breakfast. I did not feel the greatest after breakfast, and we're not going to go too far into that conversation, Joe. But we'll see. Maybe we'll get there later. But yeah, so breakfast was a little harsh. The keynote was Jorge Navarez. I always say his name wrong. Navarez.
That was
Navarez, yeah. So he came to the beer share.
We're all mangling it, but yeah,
that was fun.
He came to the beer share, cool.
He came to the beer share. He came with his Mandalorian helmet, which got all kinds of use. Honestly, like lots of great pictures. Lots of pictures, actually, which was hilarious. And he was having a good time. But yeah, he came to talk. Honestly, like where I thought he was going to go and where he went was totally different. So he asked for a special request as a keynote. Instead of just giving a talk, he changed the whole room, and it was one big, massive sharing circle, which to some people who are introverts, that was like most hellish, nightmarish like thing that they could have possibly been a part of. And I
could see it on some people's faces.
Oh yeah. I had people come up to me afterwards and they were like, oh my God, like I about had a freaking like anxiety attack, panic attack, like all this different stuff. And I'm like, I'm sorry, like I get it. We're trying something different type of deal. But they were like, I shared, and even though they said they're like, I shared, it was hard, but I did it. And I'm like, that's a victory, like in that standpoint. But
in a way, yeah. So the name of his thing was Fatherhood. It's not just about where you're from, it's about where you're going.
Right.
And so what was the question that he asked everybody? Why were we in a circle?
He wanted everybody to describe who they were without saying like
their job title.
Like their job title.
Mm-hmm.
Which lasted for about 6 guys and then like turned into this like massive sharing experience that went way outside of where it was going. And unfortunately, instead of him like reeling it back in, he let it continue for quite a while. And it actually like unfortunately like cut into his time for what he wanted to do at the end. Like he eventually like grabbed hold of it to like bring it back. However, like 3 or 4 more guys later, it did the exact same thing because guys were already thinking about like, oh, what is it that I want to share in this like big grand scheme of things? And so it just continued to snowball, unfortunately. But he had good intentions in it. And in the end, what he wanted to do, and because I talked to him afterwards, was he wanted to bring everybody into like sitting at around tables talking about like, this is the stuff that like pisses me off about my kids, but like, this is what's amazing about them kind of deal. It just sort of like that type of deal. It didn't get to that point, unfortunately, but
I have thoughts.
Yeah, man, share them away. I seriously, like, here's the thing. He is someone who can take constructive criticism. Jorge is great. So,
well, and I met the guy. I know him online before I met him too. Love the guy. I'll preface it with that. And one other thing, I was on the heels of a massive fibro flare.
I know you were. Yeah, you were.
My entire body was screaming at me as I sat there listening to a few people go into like preambles.
Yes. You're not wrong.
Every time that happened, my back is like, screw you, the horse you rode in on, and everything it ate beforehand. Like, I was not having it. So, yeah, I was like number 5. I thought we were all keeping it pretty concise, pretty fast. I was bought into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I bought into it because this is Jorge, and I've spent a couple minutes with him. Seems like a real cool cat. And then it hits the corner about 5 away from me. I look over and see who's about to talk and go, shit.
Like, I'm gonna need a pillow.
Yeah, went for like 5 minutes. And then I look at the rest of the circle, and we've got like 40, 50 more people to go through.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then my back goes, all right, we're leaving or we're laying on the floor. So I end up in the corner, laying on the ground, doing weird high school stretches I remember from PE, trying to get things moving. And I didn't make it to the end. Like,
oh, really?
I was looking at time. He had like 20 minutes left and 20 guys left.
Yeah.
And I was like, this ain't going anywhere.
We were sweating it,
fast.
Man.
So I bailed. But this is what I would suggest for future folks that want to do something similar, because I can totally see myself as a presenter doing something like that. Like, it can be very therapeutic, and it can really cultivate a group. And I get it, but like, I would be passing the mic. He was sitting in his seat listening to everybody as it goes, which is fine, but I would be passing the mic. I would be on top of people. I would be like, if somebody goes for a bit, I'd be like, okay, let's move it.
Yeah.
And then on a couple few later, be like, okay, just so you know, we got X amount of time. Let's keep.
Well, that's what I thought he was. That's what I thought he was going to do, because I at one point stood up with a secondary mic because I was going to go around, and he waved me off. He was like, "Nope, we're good. This is how we're going to do it." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
So was it just guys that had things they needed to say, like they had to share, or were they just talking about who they are and what that means to them, or what kind of?
A little both.
After the first one, all right, which I don't know who that was, but I probably know who that was. After that one went around the corner, what kind of things were they talking about? Because
so can I say my favorite?
Sure. Don't name names.
I won't name names. Somebody was talking about what they're going through. And I don't know their specific story or their background, but they bring up a divorce. And I can't remember if it's going through or just finished or whatever, and talks about how so-and-so went psycho. And then the corner next to me, 3 guys down, you hear 2 at the same guy in time go, heard that. It's just like, oh, don't egg it on, man.
Yeah.
Don't egg it on. So, and I mean, it went from that to just a couple of people talked about some really personal, really deep stuff that took them a lot to say. So like, you don't want to cut that off, but they took like 7 minutes to say it.
It got off the rails in the fashion of it got really far away from the main source, which was tell us, who you are without telling us what it is that you do type of deal. And that was the thing. Like the guys started really getting into either really deep things. Like you could tell like this was stuff that they wanted to just share with everybody. Like, this is where I am. This is who I am. This is what I'm going through.
And they were given an opportunity.
And they were given an opportunity to just say it out loud. So in a way that was therapeutic for them. But for the rest of the room, there were people like myself who were like, can we just get back to this? And I totally get it. Like, I love the fact that these guys got to share, but at the same time, like I was like, oh man, I'm like sitting here just watching the time trick
like
down
70 people in that room.
And I'm looking at JHG and I'm just like, dude. And he's like, I know. And we even went up to Jorge at one point. We're like,
there's a couple guys that were like, I would just like to take this time to say blah 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 blah, and then like really went on a 5-minute story.
And it was more like, we can't let you take that time. We don't have that time right now. That's almost impossible to say to somebody.
Yeah.
Because especially if they're, go ahead.
Now, well, I get the flavor and the idea, but like it needed to be, this group needed to moderate a little more. Like this, if you've sat with a big group, if you've moderated a panel, anything like that, it's just like, no, this group wasn't in that frame of mind of just moving.
Well, he said that was the biggest group that he's ever done something like that with. Yeah. And I get that because I know like the fatherhood stuff that he's done in the past, like it would be a much smaller group that he would be with. So, yeah, I mean, in the end, like it was something different than what's been done at any of the other conventions. And also I think that for some guys, like it was just a chance to get just a weight off of their chest and to be able to just, basically like whatever it is that's like free rent in your head, like get it out for some of those guys. So I totally get that.
And I talked to 15 different people that told me that they really thought that was an amazing presentation. It was an amazing keynote. They were just ecstatic about it. I wasn't able to be in that one. Again, like seems to happen a lot this past convention. But everybody that I talked to had only positive things about it. And that may have been those 15 guys that had that first time they've had an opportunity to actually say what they need to say, or it could be too that, there's a certain brotherhood almost or camaraderie of, you need to talk about this. You need to get this out. And maybe it was off topic, but that's where it went. So after they did they get all the way around the room? Did we get everybody in the time? Yep. And then what did we do for there? And what was with the Mandalorian helmet?
Yep.
It's cool. What don't you understand about it? It's cool.
It is cool. But I'm like,
was it a part of his? Well, he had a whole setup on the table with just talking about like there was like a candle or some candles and the helmet.
A guitar.
Oh my gosh. We'll get into that in a second. But yeah, there was like a whole bunch of stuff on the table and it just had to do with I think it was more along the lines of like his fatherhood journey and just sort of how he like goes through like processing stuff. That was the biggest thing. I don't remember what the whole thing was with the Mandalorian helmet, honestly.
Just reading the title of his thing, it's not where you are, it's where you're going, or it's not where you're from, it's where you're going. Because of the Mandalorian's helmet specifically is an icon for change in a lot of ways, because you have who he is in his religion. He never takes his helmet off, and then he needs to take his helmet off to save a life, basically.
Right.
And so he does that, and he gives up everything that he's lived his whole life for. Right.
Right.
He fucks his background.
And if that's not representation of fatherhood, more than, because I know me, the guy I was before I had kids. I mean, that guy, he was having a lot of fun. He was enjoying. He had a lot of money. Not a lot of money, but he had more money than I do.
More than now,
right? And because he was doing everything for himself,
right?
And moving to that point where the Mandalorian in the show took a moment and decided, yeah, I have to take this off or someone's going to die. You know, something major is going to happen. And he would put himself and everything. It's a huge sacrifice. And I could see that as being maybe part of it, as opposed to, okay, you were this. Yeah, you were this, but you're not that now. And that's not who you will be. So maybe that's.
I would say you're probably right on the money, honestly, with that for sure. I know that one point there was sort of a "this is the way" like chant type of thing, like that was mentioned in it. I remember everybody saying that, but yeah, so that was good. But so he gets this guitar out and he plays this song, and I've heard it before. It's got a whistle in it. And I should have looked it up, man. That's the bad part.
Macarena doesn't have a whistle.
Shut up. That was not what he played.
Walk Like an Egyptian.
It was not that either.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
I'm really going to have to.
That was very inappropriate. I'm just saying. When I started hearing the drums, I knew exactly what it was. I'm like, God, really? Ooh,
you're killing me.
I like it. I like Van Halen, but man,
I really can't think of the name of the song. But whatever it was, so there's a whistle at the beginning where it's like kind of deal. I know, like, yeah, that's gonna be horrible in the thing. Anyway, I'm getting like seriously, Danny is losing it right now.
Podcast moment ever. Hold on. No, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's this one, right?
Shut up.
No, that's a classic.
I feel so bad for Brock sitting here with two guys, which I'm guessing you have ADHD. I'm not sure, but it feels like we're brothers in this, and he's going to be with both of us, and I feel bad for him.
It's all good right now. Hey, somebody has just gone off the road laughing hysterically as they listen to this podcast. Daddy, what's wrong?
I called somebody. I have a number for you for a person in Cincinnati for the trauma you're experiencing right now for Danny and I. We apologize.
It's okay. I got a wife that actually is a counseling background, so I'm good. I'll talk to her afterwards.
Well, and me too. You can call me. I can traumatize and help the traumatized.
I don't need to be traumatized by the traumator. Anyway.
No, I saw that. I saw that table. And I totally felt like my 5-year-old. Like, I want to play with everything on that table. Mm-hmm. Like, just everybody leave mine. No, mine. Mine. That's mine too. And I'm just gonna play with all this shit for the next hour. Y'all can meet outside on the stairs.
And I will say, to be serious for a moment, talking to him afterwards and seeing him talking to other people, it was very obvious that he's very heartfelt. He's very sincere. Everything that I saw him, I didn't get into every conversation. Obviously, I didn't go butt into every conversation he was saying, but you could tell that he was listening more than he was talking. He was learning. And then he had those moments where everybody there, like 3 or 4 guys standing there talking to him, would just stop and listen to him, so he had that force of personality and that maybe even wisdom to him, that this was someone that I think we benefited by having, even if it did end up going longer than he planned. I mean, again, with a group that size, how would you know?
Well, smaller group, more time. One of the
absolutely
two. One of the two. Like, I could totally see giving him an extra half hour for that, and it would have been a different experience rounding it up, or just moderated a tiny bit different. But no, like his how genuine he was. And how heartfelt he was clear from the moment I met him the day before all the way through.
Yeah.
Like,
cool.
Quality dude.
Seemed to be to me too. Really.
Yeah.
Glad he was there. And I honestly think it helped him too. To be with the other dad. So, all right. So what do we have left? Just the end keynote, I think. And then some.
No. We got
a breakout.
We had a breakout. So the breakouts were, we got to talk about the breakouts. So by far, I would say one of the most talked about breakouts was Jeffrey Bernstein's painting nails.
Dude, killed it.
Which was right after that. And there were like 25 dads that came to it. And the pictures you took, Joe, of that event are freaking fire.
What's going on, man?
Fire. Like,
that's uncool.
Can I talk for a sec?
Yes, please do. Okay,
because this is a biggie for me. So Jeffrey, right? I found him or he found me, or whatever, through a Facebook group a little ways back, and found out he was possibly going to Cincinnati. last year. So I reached out, and as a photographer, for me, the stuff that I do on the side, the non-paid stuff, is either as a favor to people, like, hey, so and so, can't afford but needs senior pictures, or something like that, or it's stuff I'm just super passionate about, and that's usually just the people surrounding something. It's not usually the subject. I find a person that's doing something really cool or really interesting or really skillful, and I want to capture that. That's Jeffrey.
Oh yeah,
right there.
Yep.
Like, I started seeing his posts, and I'm like, if I get a chance, I think I've got an idea. So then he isn't able to do Cincinnati. I'm super bummed. Find out not only is he coming this year, but he's presenting. I'm like, well, now I got him cornered. Like, he's gonna be there, so he has to say yes or no. I'll respect either way.
Which is a big hurdle for him.
I'll get there. That's part of it. I'll get there. All right. Oh, and by the way, Saladino Photography on Facebook. If you want to see these pictures, Saladino Photography.
So, is this the sad beer cast?
I'm just gonna sit back.
I do both.
I'm pretty sure your name's not in the byline, man.
I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy my beer while he talks.
Yeah, go, Joe. Go.
Thank you. But no, so I reach out again. I'm like, hey, see you're going. Can we take some photos? Because since I was doing a photo presentation, I knew I was bringing almost my entire kit, except for studio lamps. I was bringing everything. And he's like, yeah, you got any ideas? I'm like, well, how about we do like you setting up, getting your nails done, almost like super intimate wedding photos. And my idea was I was going to do them like black and white. It was going to be like silhouetted and all the stuff. And he loved the idea, loved it. And and then I'll shoot the event. Cool. So I show up to his room. We were going to do 2 or 3 other times during the con. We're going to shoot, and it just kept falling for one reason or another. Finally, we set it up, follow him up to his room. I don't find out until after that this is super intimate for him to let me into a space. I am usually good at feeling that out, but when I'm super excited about the photos I'm taking, and I've already been given access, he was excited about it. He was like, yeah, let's roll. I'm like, bam, in it. Like, not even thinking, hey, personal space. This might be, I'm still, to give me credit when I'm taking pictures, I'm still checking in and all that other stuff, but not to the level that I'd usually be cautious. So take a bunch of pictures. We're rolling, going good. I'm checking time because I need to be back down for when he actually does it. Blah, 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 blah. Phone call. Brock, I need you downstairs now. The fuck? I had 10 minutes.
All right. So real quick, hold on. Pause.
To me. No. One more thing. Quality to me. I had 10 minutes of that. And the photos I got, Jeffrey's like, these are amazing. His friends are like, these are amazing. That was 10 minutes. And I was paying like 40. So,
oh my God. Yeah. So I have to apologize for that, because that was a huge faux pas on the part of.
When I found out what happened, I was pissed.
Yeah. We were planning on at that point, like, doing the Hogan Hilling Award, because it was getting ready for the annual meeting and everything. And that's why I called you. And unfortunately, I know. I'm just telling the listeners. So like, they're getting a little background. Yeah. And it didn't happen that way. And it was a complete, like, to me, that was a complete disaster the way that took place, but we will learn and move forward from there. Yes. So my apologies for pulling you away.
So I rushed downstairs. I pack up 2 cameras and 4 lenses that I've been swapping around to try and get this intimate moment. And I'm apologizing up and down. Jeff, I'm so sorry. They're saying. I get down. Nothing's happening. Multiple people. I try and leave. Multiple people are like, Joe, you don't want to leave yet. Joe, you don't want to leave it. There's like 4 people watching the doors and watching my ass to make sure I don't leave. And I'm like,
yeah, Secret Service was on your ass as soon as you got down there. I'm like,
okay, something's up. I knew something was up. I thought you were up in my room, like decorating it with shitty pumpkins everywhere. You were keeping me from something.
No,
I thought you were like doing that. And then when it's over, I'm still standing around like, okay, why was I brought down here?
You got punked.
It's now a 15-minute break.
You got punked.
Yeah, I was not happy. But then his breakout, and I'll let you say the rest. But his breakout on the photo side, you can tell real quick when you're taking photos how something's going, because you're searching for the interesting moments, and you're searching for the interacting moments and the smiles or the tears or the whatever. Like that's because those are the good photos. So that's what you're attracted to. And 5 minutes in, guys are just intense, staring at him, taking every word in. 15 minutes in, they're laughing and painting nails. 20 minutes in, they're interacting with him directly. I mean, the photo ops on this thing, fish in a barrel.
Oh,
Fish
it was a super special moment for the convention, honestly, because there was so many guys having such a good time with it, and Jeffrey I feel like you could tell he was like, this is my moment, like, and he was shining, and it was just his space to be in. And I think the fact that every guy in there was interacting and willing to just, be so wholeheartedly into it, made it a special moment for him as well. So yeah, it was cool, up until the
His
point where I had to
handle
run
is
away.
dad nails, and he had a bunch of dads painting each other's nails. Like, if that isn't perfect,
Yeah, I
I don't
felt
know
the
what
need.
is.
I felt the need to like reach out to the guys later and like send me a picture of you like with your nails, like show them to me or whatever. And I made him this like really cool collage of some of the dads and sent it to him so that he could use it as a way to like thank the different like businesses that gave him product to bring to the convention. So and he
I
was
also
like, "Man,
got
I can't believe you did that." And I was like, "Yeah, dude."
I got an epic photo of him painting Arvis's nails,
Yeah, right. Like
and it
those
looks like an
quarter size
infant
nails.
painting their parents' nails. Like it's just like at any moment he might just grab Jeffrey's head and dunk it. Like
Yeah,
just that paw, dude. Awesome.
it's a great picture because like Arvis has got like the biggest smile on his
Oh,
face.
well, and everybody in there, that was the great thing about it, is it was such a great presentation and it was such a great topic that everybody in there was down. Like there wasn't a single person in there that was just like, oh, I'm just here to check it out. Like, no, everyone was involved. Everybody was interested. It was stellar.
Yeah. I unfortunately had to leave at one point. And by the time I came back,
I'm just gonna turn around.
Oh my gosh. I honestly cannot believe that you actually got a picture of the moment before I left.
Best outtake ever.
Oh my
If I'm not an
gosh.
outtake artist, I don't know what I am.
Let's just say that the preceding conversation about breakfast and how that went came to its full intrusion at that moment, and I had to go.
And when you told me the story, which of course I won't share,
I had to.
When
yeah,
you
as soon
told
as you
me
posted
the story,
it,
no. When you told me the story, I was in a recovery room because my wife had just gotten out of surgery the day before. She's not allowed to be laughing her ass off.
Oh my gosh.
I woke her up laughing.
So sorry.
She looks over at me and goes, "What?" And I still haven't told. I told her, I'm like, I'll tell you in like 1 to 2 weeks.
Yeah,
because
you've got to
laugh
wait
too hard.
Yeah,
and you will be back here.
Yeah, you can't. You got to wait till she's more healed. But anyway, so I left and I came back and I felt awful because I was really looking forward to participating in like the whole painting nail thing, and it didn't happen. And I went up to Jeffrey afterwards and I was like, I had to leave. Like, I didn't even tell him like what happened. I just said like I had to go. Like, there were some things that took place. I was like, would it be possible to be able to just get a hang out with you for like an hour up in your room, like later in the evening after dinner or whatever? And he was like, oh yeah, totally, let's do it.
Poor guy. He's inviting everyone into his personal space because we're asking him. He's not the one inviting anybody. And it's like, oh, hey, personal space, we'd like to invade.
He has the ability to say no
in like 5 hours.
He has the
enough of
ability
us
to say
yet.
no.
You need to break yet. Too bad.
Does he have the ability to say no?
Totally. He could have totally said no.
Yeah.
He could have totally said no.
I don't know, man.
And I would have totally been fine with it. I would have been completely fine with it.
That's a mental health thing. Let's be real
for a sec, because that was my feeling afterwards. And he and I have talked and we're good and everything else, but I wish I would have been a little bit more aware.
Sure, I get that.
Because it's a lot of pressure. And for me to be like, hey, I'm going to take shots of you also during, but I want these prep photos. And he preps in his room.
Right.
Like that is a legit going forward. I don't feel bad about it because we've had a good talk and we're all good and everything ended well. But going forward, that is definitely something that'll be more on the forefront of my mind when I do this, to be a little bit more sensitive, maybe give multiple options. Like, yeah, it's because in that situation, do you feel like you have the option to say, hey, no?
I mean, he didn't feel like he had the option to say it, but honestly, like I would have been totally fine if he had said no.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
he's not here.
But he's also obviously one of those people who gives more than he takes.
He does, yeah.
You know, so, I didn't even get to talk to him, and I could tell that about him. So,
oh, for sure.
You know, I'm just saying, I'm just nitpicking. That's all. That, you know, he may have had, you may have given him the option, but he personally may not have been able to say no.
Sure, I get.
And that's something to be aware of.
So,
you know,
going forward for me is just good learning.
Yeah,
to be hyper aware of in the future.
Well, and so when I was up there, we had a blast doing painting and everything was fun. But one of the things was we were talking about like social media stuff. And I was like, have you ever done TikTok before? And he was like, no, I haven't. And I'm like, what you do is like candy to people on TikTok. Like they would eat that up. And so I was like, you know what? I was like, if you're okay with it, I was like, we'll go live on my TikTok account and, you know, we'll just show people what you're doing and kind of see where it goes from there. And it was great. Like I had brought my tripod and we went on TikTok and people were talking to us and like asking us questions about what we were doing and who he was. And like, it was so much fun. And like in the end, like he ended up doing this like awesome, like, he did my nails like in such a way it was so cool because he used the like starry night, like the starry night black, and then he put like this like glow in the dark glitter on top of it, and so like it was like 3 layers. It was so thick, like it took Corey forever to like get it all off of me, and it was starting to chip. So I was like, I wanted to get it off, but I had a lot of people who complimented. They really liked it, especially when I was driving Uber. There were a lot of people like, man, like your nails are cool. Those are really neat. so that was fun. But yeah, it was a good time. And it gave us a chance to just like to talk and get to know each other. And I really appreciate it. Like, honestly, like he didn't have to do it at all.
And use his charisma to boost your TikTok.
That was not what I did at all. Oh my gosh. I did not. Oh my God. Holy cow,
not
dude.
My ass, but off the back of others' dad.
That was absolutely not what was going on. You're so mean. Oh my goodness. On to the next thing. We're getting out of this. We're getting out of this.
Well, so the last thing I'll say is I didn't do my nails because I've got like crazy background drama from high school years of doing my nails. That culminated with a pep band situation where we ran out of face paint and the seniors decided to put nail polish on my face, including like war paint right here. Okay. And so I ended up spending the entire night with Q-tips, putting nail polish remover and like inflaming and stopping and going and stopping. So the idea of nail polish anywhere near me freaks me out.
Nope.
Still totally had a great time, but not for me.
All good.
Yeah, same. It makes me anxious to have things on my fingers. I keep trying to wipe it off, or like it's a speck of dirt on your shirt or whatever. And it really just my brain. I'm constantly, I got to get that. Oh, I can't get it. I can't get it up, but it's supposed to be there. Leave it alone. No, I can't. So I didn't even try. But beautiful stuff. Definitely. And like Don's cat's eye that he did at home. I don't know if y'all saw the pictures of that from Don, but it was a cat's eye. It was like a cat's eye agate or whatever it is. Yeah, where you can see the reflection deeper in it. And it was just amazing. It was like, wow. And this, no offense to Don, but I feel like he's kind of like me. He's like ham hands on some stuff, but he was just like beautiful. So well done teaching.
Yes,
for awesome. Sure. All right, so we had the annual meeting after that. Voted for the board. I believe we've already talked about who was on the board from the last episode.
Yep.
And then we had lunch. They announced the board. Went into the second breakout, which I heard a lot of good things. You went to this breakout, Joe, the Raising Kids with Disabilities, which was Nick Hargis, Tony Hernandez, Nelson Rascon, and John Bodkins from the Dad Move, which is close to where you live.
Yeah, just north of me.
I didn't go to that
got their
one.
card. I need to reach out.
Yeah, I didn't go to that one. I didn't have any kids that fit into that realm. And so I'm curious, like, what was that panel like? Because we had, like our 2 members, and then we had the 2 guys who were part of Dad Move.
Okay. One of the best panels I've been to in 5 years.
Nice.
Wow.
Period. One of the best. And I mean, we've had some killer ones. We've had some kick-ass ones. Amazing info from the 2 professionals. Like killer info. Also, they have a background personally with it. So one of the guys, I loved it because there was a lot of Q&A going through. There's a lot of Q&A.
Good.
And one of the guys, one of the pros, man, he got so fired up in like a second and a half on stuff. Like afterwards, I went up to talk to the 2 of them, and I felt the need to share a recent story. And he like got halfway out of his chair. He's like, they can't do that shit, right? They can't do that. You need to fight that shit. I'm like, yes, yeah. I love your passion. Yes, I do know that. And I have a professional in the family, and we nipped it in the bud, but you're right. They can't do that. And holy crap, you are an advocate anyone would want in their corner. That's badass. Like, yeah, I'm like, do you need a punching bag? Do you need a second? Like we can spar this out for a second.
Hold up a cushion.
Don't contact the face. Like this is the moneymaker. Don't hit the face. So the passion was awesome and the info was great. And then our 2 members who also have kids that, are in that description, a lot of really good stories and background to that. Some vulnerable questions out of the audience. I won't go into any of it because, but I had a question and shared some stuff. And afterwards I had a first timer come up to me and thank me for being vulnerable and sharing. And all I could tell him was like, that's a lot of times kind of the role of the people who've been here before. Yep. Is we've seen that from others. My first time, my first con, I saw some people really open up and be vulnerable. And I was like, oh shit. Okay. This is a known person. I think it was even a board member at the time, like being really vulnerable here. That gives me permission to do it too. Yep. And then it just continues on. And yeah, it was just phenomenal. Great. Whoever put that panel together, well done.
Yeah, I'll say Nick and Tony both have really good personal experience and education. They just, not only do they have lived it, but they're definitely great resources if anybody is listening and is in the group. You could talk to Nick or Tony, I think, at any time, and they really know their stuff. So
yeah. Right. Actually, you know what? I do think I remember how that came about. So when we put out the speaker submission announcement, John and Nelson had submitted to speak. And when we were going over it, Nick and Tony both were like, well, we can speak to that too. And we're like, awesome. Like we can make this into a panel. And that's how that took place. So yeah, kudos and just awesome thanks to those guys coming together and working together too, because it definitely was like, I think those 2 guys are on like East Coast time and you have like the other guys on the West Coast time, so like trying to like find time to talk to each other was quite a feat, but they made it happen. So
well, and it's Nelson that I was like, if I was in an IEP meeting and I didn't have my sister who's a school psych, like if I was in that meeting I would want him in there. Because anybody trying to mess with you would be like, oh crap, we can't mess with him. All right.
That's awesome.
Somebody get the book.
Yep.
What Nelson can we definitely do? He definitely has the fire. Definitely. And John too, really, but Nelson I think just kind of overwhelms him. He just sits back and goes, you go ahead, buddy. Because he's not gonna get a word in edgewise.
Didn't they come to the beer share as well? Didn't they come hang out?
Nelson did.
Nelson did. Okay. I was gonna say
Nelson did. He
that was
came
the
up
thing,
and
man. I was like, there were
had a great
so many
time, and
speakers hanging out at the beer share. So
It's a beer
it's
share.
a fun
I mean,
time.
yeah,
I
place
so
to be.
before we get okay, let's do this. We'll talk about the keynote, and then I want to talk about like what was like a conversation, like what was like your highlight moment for the convention, and then we'll be done for the night. So
Aw,
well, we're getting there.
It's already
So
been an hour.
I know.
having fun talking to you.
I'm talking to
draw-
Joe.
we're drawing it out. So closing keynote was my good buddies Matt Lofi and Sean Diddy, not Puffy, of the Dad Ass podcast.
Also,
Really, it wasn't? I
also
couldn't
my
tell.
good buddies. I just want to say, also my good buddies. As
Yeah,
of
they
the
probably
convention.
claim you. They probably claim you that.
Spitting
too.
image
It-
of P. Diddy. I
He is.
just-
He looks just
Totally.
like him,
Yeah.
right? He's like, and
Yeah.
the funniest
Wow.
thing is I'm watching Sean and Matt talk, right? And they're on a podcast together, and they're going, and they've known each other for a while, and they're talking. And Sean is me, and Matt is Brock, and Sean is screwing with Matt. He's like taking his, like, he set his credit card down. We went to when we were eating lunch, and he kind of, you see Sean reach over there and slide his credit card away and put it under his plate or whatever. And Matt's like, where's my card, man? Where's my card? And I'm like, I know where it is because I'm Sean right now, and I would have stolen Brock's card absolutely if he'd set it down like that. It was amazing, and I love those guys. I really do, because it was just such a Laurel and Hardy feeling. You know, that's dating myself, I think, saying Laurel and Hardy, but you know, that straight man and kind of goofy comedian guy.
Yeah.
It was amazing. So, but yeah, love those guys.
So what was cool is their show, the Dad Ass podcast, is about parenting and adulting and cocktails. And being that they are guys who love to make cocktails, Sean, he took full advantage of the fact that we had a full kitchen in all the rooms and made his own simple syrup, which was this like really delicious cinnamon simple syrup. He stole a lemon from out of or maybe it was an orange, I remember which was from out of the breakfast area. And then he ended up I got a text message from Matt, and he was like, who has like a good bourbon that we could borrow? And I was like, well, Grady's got like a Benchmark 8 full proof that I gave him. It's 125 proof. And he was like, perfect. And so like I texted Grady. I'm like, hey, where's that bottle at? He's like, it's up in Joe's room. And I'm like, crap. So we
While I'm
ended up
trying to take a nap. Guess
Yeah.
what? Nap didn't happen.
Yeah, so we got that bottle, and they made this amazing cocktail that they lovingly named Bingo's Revenge, which was so delicious. It was so good. And they made one for me, they made one for Aaron as like a thank you, and then they made ones for themselves while they talked to us. So that was really cool to kind of kick things off for their talk.
Mm-hmm. It looked delicious. Did it look delicious
Yeah.
to you, Joe? Did it
I was
look like
close
they were
enough
really
to see it.
enjoying it? I couldn't even
Participate.
didn't get to,
Yeah.
to
I let-
I
taste
might
it
have
or
spit in
smell
one
it.
of their
or-
beers that night. when we came by.
I let Matt
I
This
can
may be
neither
why
confirm or
breakfast
deny
didn't
that.
sit well with you.
maybe.
Yeah.
I let
Some
Matt
of us went to breakfast for you and licked all the spoons.
Oh, thanks.
Right,
I did
right.
let Matt Strain smell it because he was very interested in it.
Oh,
so.
that's mean.
he asked.
That's
He
mean
asked.
on
Especially with
multiple
Matt
levels.
too, because he's got that, chef's palate thing. So I'm
Oh,
sure
he-
he could smell like all the crap in there and like, I bet that would be delicious.
Yeah.
Sorry, Matt.
He
Negative.
said. But no, so their talk was all about it's okay not to be okay, and
Mhm.
it took a little bit for them to get to that point in their talk.
Thank you for saying that, so I didn't have to say that about another speaker.
Nope,
Appreciate
you're fine.
that.
I think a lot of times when you get speakers, sometimes it just takes them a while to build things up. And Matt's a talker just like me, and I completely understand. That's why we're friends. But it took a bit to get there. But in the end, just that whole idea of it's okay not to be okay, I feel like is something that we all can walk away with at the end of the convention and kind of keep as like that one thing when things go sideways, to be able to open that up and like have that.
And I'll say too, I did talk with him earlier in the day, and we were talking about things like vulnerability and what have you. And they actually said, I think we have to rewrite part of our presentation because we want to talk about being vulnerable and who you can be vulnerable in front of.
Yep.
And you guys are already doing it. And we really are. I mean, you walk in like with Jorge's presentation, and then just in general, you can just go sit with some guy, and he will open up to you, and you can open up to him, and neither one of you will be judging or laughing or telling you gotta fortify that. You shouldn't be no, this is an issue that I'm having, and you have another dad that you probably already respect, that gives you good advice on it. And that was really, I loved that. I hated it that it kind of maybe wanted to disrupt part of their presentation, because they did do a part on being vulnerable. But really, that's a big part of the community.
Yeah.
That's a big part of who we are as dads, is we're there to help you,
Right.
Yep.
So they were rewriting up till game time, is what you're saying?
I don't know for sure.
Because there was an element feeling like that. Like I love the message, and overall I loved it, but like I got lost about 20 minutes in. I wish that we, as a group, I wish we would have known more about them together beforehand, so they didn't have to do so much. This is who we are. This is what we do. Background, because it felt like that kind of muddied it going into. And then, like 20 minutes in, I was kind of like, okay, where is this exactly going? It got a little muddy. But I love the message and love their overall story. Like they got a new listener, 100%. And then they showed up to the beer share and had a blast. So they definitely have a new listener. That's the fastest way to get me.
For me, it was great. I mean, because just the different things that we hear, different people, what have you. I stuck with it. I loved everything the way they did it. I mean, it was all just right in line to where I expected them to go, kind of in a way, and where I wanted them to go, and the things they talked about. Personally, I loved it. I really enjoyed it. It helped close it down, like the whole convention. It helped to like put a bow on it, so to speak, for me.
Agreed.
Because of the understanding of, we get it, that it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
And we need to always remind ourselves and each other that it's okay. Yeah. How are you feeling? I mean, the easiest thing in the world is look at, one of your friends, one of your brothers, and just go, you good? And it could be very well that they are or they're not, but those two words can change their whole day.
Yeah.
Well, and the closer's big. Like that's a big role. They
Yeah.
took on a big role as the closer. Like may or may not be bigger than the opening role, but it's at least tied for it. They wrapped it up well. I'm not saying anything negative about how they wrapped it up. They wrapped it up well, and the group really enjoyed it and really connected with it.
Yeah.
So kudos to that.
I know personally, just from talking to Matt, and just that they took it very seriously. They were very honored to be in that position, and that was, I feel like that came through. I will say this, like, you're not wrong in the fashion of like the whole idea of like knowing more who they are. I think the one thing that I feel like going forward is being able to have a better like intro of certain people like that, where they don't really know a whole lot about them. And some people don't read the programs as much too, which is also there's a lot in there.
Are you saying we need an MC?
Working on it.
Because I know a guy.
Yeah.
Ooh.
He's got 2 thumbs.
Yep. So, but just the fact
like
of being
a 5-minute video, like a hype video, something like
maybe
something to sum it up super quick.
We need an MC with some music and just MC.
I think
now, let's go.
But I do feel like
Anthony Alvarez. We can get some music rolling, and
it's just the system is down. The system is down.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. So it's been over an hour, and so I'm losing my mind.
We don't need you anymore. You can't relax. I'm
out of here. All right. So yeah.
That was
so everything closes up, and we move on to do our things, and have our good times before we all depart in our different directions. What was the one conversation or thing that stands out for you for the time during the convention? Which one do you want to? Yeah, go, Danny.
Go, Danny. Go.
Okay, so
I need a minute.
I picked up Keith Nagel at his house in Madison, drove down to Chicago with him. We flew together, and then we flew back, and we drove back at like 12 in the morning or something. It was awful, but I got to talk the entire way back, or I'd have fallen asleep. But I just all of that time. Road trips are the best. They are just the best. And getting on a road trip with Keith, who I knew him and I knew of him, and I've, like seen him around doing things, and we would kind of, some of the stuff that we do will kind of intersect at times, but I really hadn't had a good opportunity to talk with him and figure out that he's was a tiger tamer.
Yeah.
And there's like video of him introducing tigers on YouTube, which I still haven't found that, but I'm going to find it.
Oh, find that. I want to see that.
Yeah, it's out there. He played it on his phone. I'm like, I'm driving, man. I can't see that. But to learn like things like how he and his wife met, and just to really get into the nitty gritty of who he is and what he's, what he loves about the organization and what he wants to make better about the organization, and all the things that we shared in common. And then like the really weird stuff about him, like he played trombone, and that's not even a real musical instrument. I don't know if y'all knew that, but yeah. No.
Oh my gosh. What instrument has a slide?
Just no.
And just so you know, like
talk about
Marnie
plays your bone.
Marnie plays trombone.
Yeah. He was not right.
I get that joke all the time. Marnie, I'm like, so you like to play the bone, huh?
Yeah,
because you played it all
warming up that bone over there
in high school. Anyway, but that was my favorite. I mean, because I had so many times I got to talk to so many people, but Keith and I got like 2 hours each way, and I'm sure he regretted it by the time we got home because. Me. I mean, I just started going and I just keep going. And I told him, I said, I just want you to know, once you get out of the car, drop you off, I'm going to head out. This conversation is going to keep going. I will keep talking until I get home. It's just what I do, because I had to stay awake till like 2 a.m. So anyway, that was mine.
I got you beat, man. I was up till 4:30 in the morning. But yeah, I feel you.
You ain't got me beat. I got 4 kids.
Okay, let's not start.
I'm going to pull this mic off the stand and drop it right now.
Oh,
let's quit measuring and just wrap things up. Come on, gentlemen.
So
what was yours, Brock?
Yeah. So for me, my favorite moment.
Next, right.
I'm going to go next. Yeah, you're going to go last, Joe.
Yeah, no, go for it. I'll close.
Yeah, do it. So for me, my favorite moment was hands down. I think it was like the first night of the beer share. I was sitting on the couch, and I'm not going to say his name because I really want to tell this story a little bit. But a certain person who I've never met before, who was there for the first time, sat down beside me, and we just were talking about life and talking about our families, and we got into talking about our marriages. And I was sharing a little bit about sort of the journey that me and my wife have been on with just our marriage and our sex life and everything. And he was asking all kinds of questions, and I felt very like just open to just talk with him about, the things that we've done as far as like communication and all these different avenues. And it was a great conversation. Like, he was just super appreciative of talking, and it was just a good conversation. And in the end, like, I came home and I was talking with Corey, and I just said, like, I kind of feel like that conversation could be built into a breakout session that her and I could do at the convention.
Oh,
no, at the convention, like a breakout session at the convention, the two of us could do.
Podcast first.
We'll see. Anyway, but so it was just awesome, because like just getting to connect with them and then kind of that coming out of it was really cool to me. Because I mean, typically, the only breakouts that I've done so far are like how to build a dad's group. And so to be able to do something where I can actually like bring my wife into it, all for that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There you go.
Yeah. What about you, Joe? Send us home.
The finale, the man himself.
I gotta take a drink before I say this. So I mean, there's a lot of cool moments. Forcing myself to drink horrendous pumpkin beer over and over and over again. Like I was, doing something illegal.
You're like a
not
sadist,
quite right
man.
for money. Yeah. There's that. Out of a pumpkin of all things. I'm waiting for those videos. There's like 5 videos that haven't surfaced yet. But no. As I drink, big shout out to someone who hasn't been said enough on this, Mr. Al Watts.
Oh,
yeah.
Al.
So I have a history of showing up and messing with two people at these cons. The current president, whoever that is, whatever con I'm at, I make sure I mess with them significantly. And I sure as heck did with JHG this year. He expected it because I did last year. A couple times in front of Al Watts, but quietly. So as JHG, falls over laughing, Al was like, "What the heck?" I'm like, "Oh, wait 10 minutes, I'll do it again." And then I came back and did it again, and Al was like, "What the?" So there's that. And then Al Watts. I always mess with Al Watts. Last year at the beer share, I messed with him in front of his kid for like 2-3 hours, and he brought that up this year. Like, really, you messed with me all night in front of my kid?
Mhm.
Well, you brought your kid.
Right.
Know that I
Yeah,
can do
that's yeah, right. This was going to happen either way. You're the one that brought him. Come on.
Right. But so shows up, I see him, I go up to talk to him, and he goes, just so you know, you only have 24 hours to mess with me this year. I'm like, what? He's
That's
like, yeah, I
right.
got to
Yeah.
fight in 24 hours. What?
Yep.
Okay, game on. So every like hour, I'm coming back.
Challenge
Man,
accepted.
F you, Al Watts. F it, Al Watts. What the heck? Just over again. And so the next night, he shows up to the beer share again. He's got a flight coming up. And he's like, guess what? Flight's delayed. I'm like, and I seriously thought he was messing with me. I'm like, you're trying to get off easy and give me another, got another 10 hours. He's like, no, delayed. I don't even know where I'm sleeping tonight.
Oh.
And so the first night of beer share, he stayed late, and I've got a picture of like 5 of us at 1:30 in the morning still talking. Second night, he tells me that, and he's got his like overnight bag with him. I'm like, well, I've got an extra bed. You're staying here. Oh, you sure? You sure? Like, you're Al effing Watts. Of course.
You're right. Yeah,
I'm
right.
Sure.
Yeah, no
Like,
kidding, right?
Yeah. And then I just kept thinking of all the missed opportunities to draw on his face because he was so out. He was so out. He wasn't snoring, so he's a great person to share a room with, but he was so out. It's like, gosh, I could have wrote beer cast just right across his nose. And he never would. Great advertisement, but no, I didn't. But no, like for me, some of those older connections that I've got where like they know my story, I know theirs, and so we can just every moment, because you can only connect so much over Messenger or over whatever, if you even do. It's not like Al and I talk a whole lot over the year, but when you see him again, and you reunite, it's like the conversation never stopped, and so it just adds on to that even more. So those late night, just kind of, all right, everything's kind of fallen off, raw emotion talking. Those are always my favorite moments, and this year it was Al.
Nice. Love it. That's great. Well, I think that we've definitely thoroughly talked through HomeDadcon, and definitely
You done with me?
Yep.
2 episodes. You finally, you're like
two-parter.
next year. Maybe
I'm sure
2.
we'll find a reason to bring you on again.
It was a blast, gentlemen. I appreciate it. I'm honored.
Agreed.
And the clock is already ticking for Milwaukee 2023, and man, that
we'll see.
That committee is already hit the ground running. They
Just
are
crazy. Yeah.
like taking off like a firecracker. Honestly.
I'm tired of my phone. I'm tired of the Slack.
Dude, my beer share committee is blowing up already. Like,
it's so wild, and it's super exciting, and yeah. So,
may I say, all of that you both just talked about is because, and other people as well, but because of you two, because Phoenix was an amazing convention.
It was a great convention.
Not everything was perfect. Not everything went, there are some little hiccups. There always are. We're all people, we make mistakes, but the overarching feeling of it all was, this was an amazing convention. I just want to do it again. And you have all of these people like, yeah, we'll just make, what are we going to do for next year? Let's do this. And they're already, like you said, my Slack notifications have driven me to turn it off. I mean, I'm just like, look at you, muted, shut up. It wasn't even 24 hours. We couldn't even wait 24 hours.
And there were guys pleading
crazy
on the flight.
Yeah.
I landed, and it's like ping, ping, ping.
Yeah, yeah. When you get back to Wi-Fi, it's because Wi-Fi was out on our plane, and I'm like, I don't care. I'm just gonna lay here anyway. But then it's same thing with the beer share. This is what do I know? Not much, but from what I've seen, the best beer share that this convention has ever had.
It was
And
great.
the fact is it was so good that so many people want to get on it for next year. Hey, how can I help? Or, hey, I got this great beer or whatever it is. So you guys and others as well. I mean, we've talked about Aaron Smith, and I know Eric Schoberg helped you with everything, and Paul and everybody else. I can't name everybody.
Brian Ketzall.
Brian
There.
Frampton,
Grady.
Was well, also for the committee, for everything we did for the planning committee and all that, all of those guys, amazing work by everyone, to the point where we all just want to immediately go do it again in September of next year in Milwaukee. So well done. Pat yourself on the back. You definitely earned it, in my opinion.
I will say, if I don't make it, which I'm going to get a lot of crap for this and messages if I don't make it, but if I don't make it, David Rogers jumped in to help out, because hopefully next year I will just have auctioning and MC duties, because I was doing too many, and he jumped in to start pouring and educating and all of that. And I was safe with that because it's David F. and Rogers. Like if I trust anybody to know beer other than me, it's going to be him.
Yeah, you mentioned that last week
for
too.
the unofficial committee member.
There you go.
Right there.
All right, gentlemen.
But I will say thank you, Danny. I should take the compliment. Right.
Good job. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Well
I appreciate that. It was a labor of love.
Well, guys, it's been awesome. Danny, thank you for being an amazing big brother to me and trying to keep me on the straight and narrow. Joe, thank you for just being the good friend that you are. And
the crazy younger brother. Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah, that too. That too. But yeah, so until next time, just be looking out for more information about 2023 in Milwaukee, because we should be announcing hotel stuff here pretty soon, and that's going to get really exciting as well.
It's not at the Phoenix Marriott again, is it?
It is not at the Phoenix Marriott. It's at a much cooler place.
It is at a much cooler place.
I sent a letter. I can share it if you like.
Gosh. Nope, we're not going there. All right. Anyway.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
We're out of here. Good night, everybody.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.